Hi, I'm John from Just Music. If you like today's show, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Very important. Today, I have the pleasure of reviewing the newest album by Paul McCartney called Boys of Dungeon Lane. The Boys of Dungeon Lane um, just came out a few short weeks ago, and I've listened to it over and over and over and over again, dissecting every song, and I'm going to be doing a track by track, every track review and my overall impression of the album as a whole, including each individual song. And we're going to do a deep dive. So buckle in, folks. So that's the CD. The inner sleeve has a collage of old Liverpool Beatles photos with the boys, and his parents and him as a kid, and John and George and Ringo, early Beatles stuff. So that's pretty cool. You could spend a while with a magnifying glass just looking at each picture on here. And then he has a lyric book, and that's the cover of the lyric book, which is inserted. And all the lyrics, he has copies of his handwritten lyrics for every song. His handwriting is not good. And then, boy, try and at the very end for the liner notes, this is all we have, folks. And this tells you who's on it, who produced it, and what Paul plays on it. It lists a couple of guest stars on here, but it doesn't give any reference to what song that they're on, which I'm going to address right now. So yeah, it's produced by Andrew Watt, and he's a younger guy. And Andrew Watt produced the last Rolling Stones album, Hackney Diamonds, which I really liked. And Andrew Watt produced this album, and I think he helped Paul with some of the arrangements a little bit. So he had a little bit of creative influence with this album. And also Andrew Watt will be producing the next newest Rolling Stones album, which is coming out in July. And Paul played one song on bass on Hackney Diamonds, and Paul plays bass on one song on the new Rolling Stones album. Two completely different songs. All right, so that gets that out of the way. So the only guest star that I can recognize that he lists in those microscopic liner notes is Chrissie Hynde from The Pretenders. She is not, if she's in here, I cannot find her voice. There's a lot of great backing vocals throughout a lot of these songs. She's probably mixed in those background vocals. And maybe she plays a little bit of guitar on a couple of songs, but for the life of me, I cannot. Her voice does not. I love Chrissie Hynde. I love her voice. She has a very distinct voice. So I just can't find it on here. And then his wife, Nancy McCartney, is also given credit on here as well. I'm guessing she's doing background vocals as well. All right, let's get into the deep dive from there's 14 tracks on this album. And my overall impression of this album is Paul seems very relaxed. It's a very reflective, nostalgic, themed, coherent album. And for better or for worse, his voice is authentic. There's no AI, there's no enhancements, and his vocals. I mean, he's in his 80s now. On some songs, his vocals are flailing. We'll leave it at that. One more comment until we get into the deep dive. When I saw Paul live at Fenway Park 2.5 years ago, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Time flies. I would say 1/3 of Paul's songs live were flailing somewhat. You could hear his age. However, when Paul screams, he still has it. And when he sang Helter Skelter live, he knocked it out of the park, no pun intended. Um, Although it was fitting. He can still he can still scream. And I just generally would probably appreciate some of his vocals more is if he lost his falsetto or just tried speaking the vocal more. And we're going to get into that. Here we go. Song one is called As You Lie There. It's it starts off with a monologue of Paul talking to this woman that he is stalking, it sounds like. He walks by her bedroom window every night and the song's all about that. So it starts off as very kind of dark and foreboding monologue speaking, and then it transitions into a bit of a rocker. Um, and there's a lead guitar solo in there that pays homage to Come Together. It's it's the sound of that guitar solo, but just arranged slightly different, but it's pretty cool. Overall, I like it, but it's got a darkness and a creepiness to it. Second song is called Lost Horizon. This is very Tom Petty-ish, and Mike Campbell from Tom Petty, the guitar player and arranger and singer, he's not listed as credits on here that I can see. However, that second song, Lost Horizon, is very Tom Petty-ish, and it sounds like Mike Campbell singing in the background a little bit. I don't have any proof of that, but that's what that is. The third song called Days We Left Behind. This is the song that's getting the most airplay, and it's all about the real Dungeon Lane in Liverpool, where Paul and George and all those young kids, if they would skip school or if they had a day off, they would just hang out down by the Mersey River, and so it's very nostalgic, and I really like it. His voice, obviously, his voice is a bit weak, but I like it. It's authentic, um, and that song's getting a lot of airplay, and I really like that song a lot. The fourth song's called Ripples in a Pond. I think it's a love song that he wrote to his wife Nancy, his newer wife Nancy. It's Paul's album. I think he just threw her a bone a little bit. Um, I think it's kind of a throwaway song, a bit of filler. It's a modern pop song, but it's kind of middle of the road. Um, but it's his album; he can do what he wants. The fifth song is called Mountaintop. This song, a lot of the lyrics are about magic mushrooms, and it's got a straightforward medium tempo, but most of the lyrics are about tripping and magic mushrooms. And I think the song would have benefited more if he threw in some Beatles psychedelic music in there, or something like that. However, towards the end, like the last 20 to 30 seconds of the song, there's an abrupt stop and a change, and it just slams into a very Wings um, heaviness that's reminiscent of Jet. So he's kind of paying homage to the Wings there, um, which is pretty cool. I like that song. The sixth song is called Down South, and this is a reflection or tribute or reflection of him and George childhood when they first got to know each other riding on the lorry, which is the local bus transit in Liverpool, where they started talking about music and got to know each other. Um, and it's kind of like an acoustic ditty, and it's a relatively simple song, but again, it's very reflective, very nostalgic. The seventh song is called We Two. It's an acoustic, straightforward love song, kind of a bit of a throwaway as well, bit of a throwaway filler. Um, Eighth song is called Come Inside. Now, this is one of the standouts. This is a very edgy, modern guitar rocker that has some McCartney classic screaming in here. Not throughout, but it's highlighted just enough to like put the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. Um, the lyrics are a bit opaque, vague. I'm guessing maybe it's paying come inside his mind, paying a reflecting on pot, smoking pot, and opening up your mind. That's kind of what I'm taking from it. My take is it's about marijuana and pot, that kind of a thing. That's the heaviest song on the album, and I wish Paul would do more of this type of thing. That's a standout song. I quite like that. The ninth song is a piano-driven song. It's called "Never Know." I would say it's a slow, medium tempo. It's a universal love song. There's a hint in part of the song of a Beatle-esque Beatles backwoods loop, kind of a little interlude in the middle of the song. And it also has some flute. Maybe it's done by some kind of organ or keyboard, but it's reminiscent of Fool on the Hill. So that they're paying homage to Fool on the Hill with that flute thing that goes in there, that flute keys crescendo. And then it kind of ends with that as well. And it kind of crescends with that. That was an interesting song. Track 10 is called Home to Us, and this co-stars Ringo Starr on vocals. This Home to Us is the funnest song on the album. It is upbeat. It's really good. They're reflecting on the old early days of Liverpool, and again, very upbeat. It's a catchy pop tune, and I would like to see Paul work more with Ringo. Throw some more, have a little more fun. Okay, the overall, and we're gonna get into the rest of the songs, but there's an overall like melancholy, reflective, somber aspect to a lot of these songs. All right, so after the Ringo song, which I really liked, track 11 is called Life Can Be Hard. This is interesting. This is him on piano doing like a 1940s style, um, Beatle-esque song. It's got some clarinet in there, and I could picture this song being on Rubber Soul or Revolver. Paul sings this in a falsetto, and his voice doesn't quite work here, in my opinion. I think this would have been better if he just tried singing in more of a speaking voice. I think it would have benefited the song overall. But you can imagine that song being on Rubber Soul or Revolver, and I, I like it even with the flaws. 12th song, 12th track is called First Star of the Night. I might be mistaken, but I think this might be like some kind of lost demo that might have been on a in the Wings era that he redid. It's very jazzy. It's acoustic jazzy with some interesting percussion on there. Wings-esque medium tempo. First Star of the Night. Picture this song would be great if you're driving on a road trip and it's after midnight and it's dark, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., even 3 a.m. And if you're listening to the song, that's how I could picture it. I think you would really appreciate it more if you're just driving late at night by yourself. First Star of the Night. I like that song. Track 13. It's called Salesman Saint. This is a song about his father and mother but it's focusing more on his father. So very nostalgic, post-World War II, um, acoustic-driven song, um, which has a somberness to it, I think. And then track 14, which is the last song on the album, is called Mama Gets By, which is about his mother. Um, so back to back, you have a father and mother song, and then you have the mother song, Mama Gets By. Um, this song I really like. It's the song that really moves me in this album, and and every time I've heard it, it makes me watery eyed. It makes me very emotional. And if anybody has lost their mother, um, I think you'd really appreciate. It's very moving. He did a fantastic job on that. Um, yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of throwaways, in my opinion. Overall, as an album, I think it's very good. And this is the way I look at it. Let's just say Paul wasn't with us anymore, or Ringo, and he passes away, and these lost tapes were found and put together. Everyone would go crazy for it. So appreciate that now. Okay, that's the way I look at it. These are the good old days, right? And so that's how I'm looking at it. I'm saying, you know what? For his age and his talent, um, this is a really good album, and I'm glad I bought it. And there are a small handful of really standout tracks on here, which I've already talked about. Um, what else can I say? I hope he keeps it up, and I'm looking forward to the new Stones album, which I will review when it comes out in July. And I'm going to compare it to Hackney Diamonds because I haven't reviewed that, because there are some similarities. There's going to be 4 songs in the new Stone albums that are left over from the Hackney Diamonds sessions. So that'll be interesting. All right. Thank you for watching. Hats off to you all. And please like and subscribe. Take care, folks, and rock on.